Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for the first in a series of videos Erie's Public Schools is producing in celebration of Black History Month. We thought we'd start this series off with a discussion about history because we know that the only way to understand our present and prepare for the future is to learn about our past. And what better person to help give us a little history lesson than Johnny Johnson, retired educator, community activist, and all-around advocate for our young people in Erie. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Johnson. I want to talk about a particular period of time. The history of education in Erie, Pennsylvania includes an important period when Black educators were being actively recruited from the South. And that was a movement that changed the face of education in Northwest Pennsylvania. I know this was a big moment, but just tell us a little bit about the circumstances of when, why, and how that recruitment effort happened.
Okay, from a historical perspective, during the late 60s, we know that we had civil rights movement not only in Erie, but all over the country. Inequality, segregation, de facto segregation, etc. And there were parents and the NAACP in Erie that believed that their children, the Black children, was not getting a fair share when it came to education in the Erie public schools. They petitioned the school district for some grievances that they had. Some of those grievances was very few minorities in administrative position, very few minority teachers. There were some activities that minority students were not able to participate in, so that kind of pushed the ball rolling, so to speak.
Tell us a little bit about why that was so important. Why did that recruitment effort matter?
Well, you know, it was very important because you need minority teachers in front of minority students, okay? At that point in time, all that data was not in place, but we know that data is in place now where kids are more apt to retain learning and learn when they are taught by someone of their own ethnicity. So what basically happened was that Erie had Black teachers,
right,
but very few, okay? And to follow up with the Supreme Court ruling, Pennsylvania Human Relationship ruling, and also the agreement with NAACP in Erie, it was very important for the Erie School District to begin to recruit minority teachers and bring them into the fold.
So introduce us to it, just a few of these people. I know there were many, but I know that they had some very real and lasting effects on education, on the classroom, and our community as a whole. So just throw out a couple of names and introduce us to a few of these people.
Okay, I'll throw out a couple of names of those people who were already here teaching, and they were Erieites before I got here. Dalhart Dobbs, Losa Jones, Mr. Darby, and I may have missed 2 or 3 of those names. Those who came up, when I came up, Tom Robinson, who became the head football coach at Academy High School, Minia Dixon, myself, Frank Williams, and Henry Jones, who became band directors at the Academy, etc. And I can go on and on. It'll take a lot of time.
Well, if you're interested in learning more about some of the people that Mr. Johnson just mentioned, please visit our website, eriesd.org/Black History. And you can see a few profiles of some of these people who helped pave the way in the district, including you. You're a native of Covington, Georgia. You're not from here, but you were one of those educators that were part of that great movement. I think you arrived here in 1970. Okay, tell us just a little bit about that experience, both coming to Erie, what it was like for you, both in and out of the classroom.
Okay, I came to Erie once again in 1970. In 1969, recruiters from the Erie School District that included Andy Pecos, Jim Wade, who was the director of Urban Coalition, I can't remember, Barton Fields from Department of Education, came down to the predominantly HBCUs recruiting minority teachers. They came from Pennsylvania down to the tip of Florida, and I'm just going to name some schools: Cheney, Central State, Tuskegee, Alabama A&M, Florida A&M, Fort Valley, from which I came from. And so they made the tour of recruiting those teachers. So they came on campus and had an interview section. My classmates and I interviewed, and they all offered us positions here in Erie. And that's how I got here. I had never heard of Erie, Pennsylvania. Had heard of Lake Erie and the Bell Lake area, but had never heard of Erie, Pennsylvania. So I was going into a different territory, a different place. I grew up in Georgia. That was Jim Crow, segregation, and to move to the north, to come to the north, we all knew that the north was not heaven. It wasn't hell either, but it wasn't heaven. So came up here looking for new experiences at Fort Valley State University. We were taught that we should become activists. We should become those who are willing to help their neighbors. So I fell into that mode, hey, let me go out and help kids and help myself to make America a better place to live in.
So you're moving to a place you've never been to before, had never even heard of. You knew that there weren't a lot of people that looked like you in the classrooms, in the school buildings. That wasn't intimidating at all to you as a young person?
Okay, as a young person, as I say, I came from the segregated South. So I always saw black people. So when I got to Erie, and I spent a half year at Strong Vincent, went to the cafeteria and looked around, and there were no black people working in the cafeteria. And I'm smiling. And then when they come, and I'm looking at the garbage people, and I'm looking at no black people on the garbage truck. So my first thing was, what do black people do here? What jobs do they have? How do they fit into this? And I came to find out later on, I've been here for a while, that American Sterilizer, the GE, and these places were here, and they did have blacks there. But within the school, at that time, it was really a shock to me not to see anybody in any position that looked like I did.
But we've talked about this a little bit before, and you've told me, though, that despite that, you really didn't have trouble making relationships, particularly with your students. Tell me about that.
Well, I'm glad that I went to an HBCU, a very small HBCU, and we had not only students, but we had teachers from all nationalities, all religions. So I had teachers that were Buddhists, I had teachers that were Muslims, so on and so forth. So with 1,000, 1,600 people, you get to know each other, okay? And by doing that, you are willing and able to accept people as they are. Right. So that was a great thing for me, and we was always taught growing up, treat everybody the way that you want to be treated, et cetera, et cetera. So the hardest thing for me was the pronouncing of the students' last names. Where I'm from is Smith, Jones, Johnson, whatever, very easy to pronounce the names. And when I got here, some of the ethnic names, especially the Polish name and the Italian name and the Russian name, kind of tied my tongue a little bit, and I had to each day go home in front of the mirror and practice pronouncing those last names.
Sure.
A lot of fun.
So, but tell me, other than that, this experience had to have a lasting effect on you. Tell me how it helped define you, or once you came here, how it continued shaping your path as an educator.
Well, one of the things that we were taught is that, there's nobody better than you, and you are not better than anyone else. So, with that attitude, and, I got here, and, one of the things that really struck me, most people here had never heard of an HBCU. And when you speak of something that's all black, they think it's inferior, it's not as good as the regular stuff. So when I got here, I was questioned often by if I was qualified, because I didn't go to PWI, I went to a HBCU. And, I got here and, you went to HBCU, what did they do, blah, 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 blah. But one of the important things is that it doesn't matter whether you went to PWI or HBCU. Hopefully, I know in my school, you're taught to contribute to society. and I'm not going to use Malcolm X, but by all means necessary, you know. And you do that by caring about people, by loving about people, and form relationships where people can understand you and you can understand them.
So PWI, predominantly
White
white
institution,
institution,
yes.
and HBCU, historically black college
colleges and
or
university,
university.
yes.
Okay. What do you want people to know about the role black educators have had, the role and importance they have had in building this district to this point, and the role and importance they will have moving forward?
I think one of the important roles, and I'm going from the time that I got here until the time that I retired, was that there was an influx of great minority teachers, you know, that were able to relate to students, able to teach students. And I'm gonna just throw out a couple names. I'm gonna throw out the name of Johnny Harris. And I'm gonna call Johnny's name because Johnny and I went to Fort Valley State. We played basketball together. And Johnny came here and later became the first black president of the Erie Education Association. So, you know, that give you a chance to look at the caliber of people that were recruited and people that were brought here.
Fantastic. And as I mentioned, you can learn more about these trailblazing black educators on our website dedicated to Black history. It's eriesd.org/Black history. This video, as well as future videos, will be on that site. Throughout the month, you can also learn how our students are celebrating the month in their classrooms. Thank you, and stay tuned for more videos in the series. Thank you, Mr. Johnson.
Thank you also very much.